Hi, Narelle here, and today I've got a video to show you using this beautiful sketch from a cherry on top as my inspiration. I had seen some lovely layouts done by Paige Evans recently with the heart theme, and I thought I really loved this heart and the detail around it, and thought I wanted to use that as my inspiration. But I also had recently downloaded the Sympathy collection from Nitwits collections, and I thought it'd be a lovely collection to use for a page of my late mum. And I thought I just wanted her photo as the main focus in that heart. So this is the collection. It's called Sympathy, and beautiful blues, and these are really fantastic and affordable supplies. They are digital, and you get lots of background papers and embellishments and all alphabet included, and digital brads and buttons, and collections already of bundles of flowers together as embellishments and stuff, and they're really, really good. And I thought that colour would go perfectly with Mum's top she's got on in that photo. So I've cut out a heart using my brother's Scan and Cut, and that is my latest toy that I'm using. And I just picked a heart from the basic shapes and then made it bigger to fit on a 12-inch piece of paper, and then just cut it out. So the idea is to have some of the background paper from the Nitwits collection at the top, and then use some of their ribbon, printed ribbon, as my border. And yeah, it should be a really easy layout to do. So the first step is I need to select all the images that I want to use and print them out. Now, I printed the first time without knowing the right settings I should have, and the printouts came out a little bit lighter than I would have wanted. But I read some files and some posts on the Facebook group for Nitwits collections, and they had fantastic printing instructions of a colour setting to change that I didn't even know existed. So second time around, the things printed out much better, much more saturated. So the idea is to use that patterned paper at the top and then put the heart on top of it. Now I used the alphabets to print out Mum, and also that little saying, which was already like a completed embellishment in the pack. I'm going to use that next to the photo of Mum, and that sort of acts as my journaling as well. That Mum's been gone now for a few years, 4 years, so I haven't actually done a memorial page for her. So I thought this range is perfect. It's got the right sentiments in it and the right colours for the photo I have of her. So the idea is to use that pattern paper, like I said, at the top of the page, use the printed ribbon as a divider between the patterned paper and the rest of the page. And then I've got all these flowers, and I love flowers. If you know anything about me, I love flowers. So I printed out all the flowers and leaves and things that I thought I would want, and then I took them to my brother's Scan and Cut them out. So before I cut them out, though, I realised that some of the areas with the white on it may not be picked up with the brother Scan and Cut. So when you scan things in, it has to detect what's on the page, and I thought the white, like parts of the ribbon that I'm going around now, may not necessarily be picked up. So I tried to trace around all the parts that I thought wouldn't get detected when it scanned the page. And in hindsight, I probably should have gone around them all, A, with a pencil, and B, I should have just gone around them all. Because when I did scan them and then cut them, I didn't notice some of the parts weren't detected properly. And for that blue ribbon, you can see to the right of the flower that I am tracing now, for some reason it didn't pick up some of that, so it only gave me a little bit in the middle, and I thought the outline was dark enough that it would pick it up, but it didn't. And there's a few other things that it didn't quite scan properly, and it's probably my fault because I'm quite a novice with my brother's Scan and Cut. I've had it, a long time. I think I got it in 2018. And I've used it maybe a handful of times. So I'm on a mission this year to use it and use the supplies I've got and to save some money. So hence why I'm using the digital supplies here, because they don't take up any storage space and you can print them multiple times, like as many times as you want. So for this one cluster of flowers that I'm tracing now, if I had that as a die cut piece I bought in a packet from a scrapbook shop or whatever, I could use it once and once only, and that was it. But with a digital, you can print them and cut them out as many times as you like. You just cannot change the color of them. So if you have editing software, photo editing software, don't change the color of them. That's against the Angel policy, but I can print them out 100 times and use them on 100 different projects. It's just brilliant. And you don't have to have a brother scan and cut. A lot of the images you can just fussy cut with scissors. So no big deal. Like the leaves there would be really easy to fussy cut with scissors. So here I am. I have all my pieces die cut, cut out with the scan and emboss. And like I said, most of them cut out okay, no problems, quick and easy. 5 minutes, they were done. Part of the doily on the cluster on the bottom right corner didn't quite print out properly, so I didn't cut out properly, but that's okay, live and learn. So I just trimmed the bit off with scissors that didn't quite look right. It looked like chopped in, so I just trimmed that off. I will say though, when I traced around them, I used a black pen and I didn't set a margin on them, like a white outline, because I didn't want the pen showing. But I also found that some of them didn't actually, like I thought it would cut on the pen line, and some of it you could still see the pen line. So I did have to get the scissors out and give them a bit of a trim. But like these collections by Nitwits Collections, and I'll have them linked below, are so good. They're so lifelike and so affordable. So if you wait for things to go on special, you can pick up a whole collection for like $7, and it's just an amazing value, and you get so much in them. I just love them, and because I have the brother scan and cut, I can actually like print them out and cut them out, not spend hours fussy cutting. But I do love fussy cutting, so that probably is not going to be that much of a problem for me. So this is the ribbon that I said, see the white one? Well, I had another one that was blue, the same, and it didn't cut out the blue around that checked ribbon properly, and it cut out some of the blue ribbon, the paler blue ribbon. So I just cut the check one out from the other bow, if that makes sense. And then and I thought, well, I can use that still on the layout. All right, so I'm just going to trim around the ones that had the black pen on them. So like I said before, when I trace around anything again in the future, I'm going to use pencil, because then I can rub it out. So if it doesn't cut it all, like it misses a little bit of the line and leaves the tracing, I can just rub that out. So much more easier than having to trim all these with scissors. So I thought, you know, when I looked at it, I went, I have to trim this one and this one and this one. I may as well fussy cut them all out. But then the amount I needed to trim was far less than the amount I needed to fussy cut. I would have needed to fussy cut. So in the end, I guess I still saved a lot of time. So I didn't have to cut out like the mum letters. So yeah, it was pretty painless. All right, so I think I have trimmed most of them now. The other thing I wanted to incorporate on this page was some stitching. I've been watching Paige Evans, and she is known for incorporating stitching on, I think, all her layouts. And I thought, wouldn't that be fun to try? Like, I love stitching, as in cross-stitching. And I thought, well, I'm going to try and incorporate some stitching on this layout. And I thought the heart would be perfect to do that, stitch around that heart. So, sorry. So, I thought it'd be really easy to just use my picker tool or awl or whatever they're called, and just poke holes around the heart and then do the stitching. Now, I didn't measure these holes. I did just poke them. And I might have to speed this up because you're going to get really bored if you sit here and watch me poke all these holes. Okay, so all the holes are done, and now I'm just going to match one of the flowers to some embroidery floss that I've got, and I'm going to start stitching. Now I think that's a pretty good match, and there's several different stitches you could do, and I'm just going to do a chain stitch, so it's really quite easy, and I'll link below a video by Paige Evans, and she will show how to do the chain stitch. It's really not hard, and yeah, it just adds a really cool impact on the page. So I'm going to speed this up. I did get my thread in a huge mess here actually, and yeah, I'll have to get out another bit in a minute, as I always taught with cross stitching to pull out one strand at a time, and yeah, I mucked this up and got a huge mess and I couldn't fix it. So actually that might have been later because this one looks like it's going okay. So I'm using 3 strands, so your DMC cotton thread comes in 6 strands. So when you cross stitch you normally use 2, sometimes you use 1. So I separated 3 strands just to give it a little bit more body, I guess, to the stitching. So I'm just starting from the back, going to tape my tail down. Now Paige Evans does not hers, but yeah, I didn't bother doing the knot really. So I just stuck it down with double-sided tape. And then I'm going down into the next hole. And then I come back up the first hole, and then back down the second hole. So just basically go back over what I just did, and it's so hard to find the holes in the back of the cardboard. I'm used to cross stitch fabric where I don't need to look, I can just feel where I need to go. All right, so then I come up the third hole, and this is how you do the chain stitch bit. So the first was just like a straight stitch. So you come up the third hole. Any minute now I'm going to find it. Wait for it. I'm trying to do it without looking at the back, but yeah, that's not going to work. Yeah, never mind. All right, so then before you go down another hole, you go under the previous stitches that you did, and then back down that third hole. And then you keep going like that. So now I'm going to come up the fourth hole, go down under the last stitch that I completed, and that's going to form like an oval, I guess it is. And yes, I got a knot. Okay, and then you go down that same hole you just came up. You just keep going like that, and it creates a really beautiful stitch. Really simple and easy. Anyone can do it. It does take a lot of time, but I think it's worth it. I wouldn't do it on every layout, but every so often I think it's really sweet. Adds a really great element. It's a good thing to do in front of the TV too, if you are looking for something to do to entertain yourself when you have to sit and watch a show or something with hubby or whatever. All right. So now I'm back. I've done all the stitching and I've got all my die cuts ready to go, and they're sticking to each other because my mat on my brother's Scan and Cut is lost its stick. And the Fabric Pixie spray that everyone says you should use when that happens is out of stock everywhere. So I'm waiting for it to come in. But so I've got some Dotto, I think it's Herma brand, blue Dotto removable tape runner. And I just use that on the back of the cardstock when I put it onto the mat, and that holds it in place enough to cut everything out without it all moving everywhere. All right, so here's my heart with the stitching around it. It's not perfect, and the stitches are not even because I didn't measure them. I just got in there and just put lots of holes in. So, you know, some of them are perfectly spaced and some are smaller, some are bigger. It's not a perfect shape around the top of the hearts, but it doesn't matter. All right, so I'm going to decide which of these papers here I want at the back. And I think I want the paler one, but then I think, oh, maybe I want the darker one. So I will see which one I choose when I start cutting. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going to cut that paper to size and then put all the embellishments around where I think I want them to go. And then I'll come back and glue it all down. So this is an A4 piece of white cardstock. Because I don't have a 12 by 12 printer, I don't think many people have a 12 by 12 printer. So I can't print out the background paper in a size that's going to fit across the 12 by 12 layout. So the plan is to cut this, and here I'm going to do it totally wrong and stuff it up. The plan was to cut it into two pieces to meet somewhere across the top of the page. And I cut that in the middle there, and I shouldn't have. I should have cut it long ways, but I cut it straight down the middle. I have no idea why I did that, because you'll see in a minute that I totally stuffed it up. Because when it came time to put it on the page, I had a big gap in the middle. So I'm just bringing the sketch in here as trying to work out how big I should make the piece of cardstock to go across the top. Yeah, so I cut this totally wrong. And when I put them on, I have a big gap in the middle, and I don't have enough of the other paper left to fill the gap at the right size. So yeah, don't do it this way. This is why I did it. Don't do it this way. And at this stage, I'm really bad. I don't measure things. I guesstimate, and I totally got it wrong. So here we go. I'm going to put these together and go, oh no, I stuffed that up well and truly. So this is going to go as a band across the top, just like in the sketch. And I'm going to leave a bit of a gap at the top. And look, oh no, what'd I do? Oh no, Narelle, you're an idiot. It doesn't worry me that it's going to have a join. But then I looked at my scraps and went, hang on, I don't have one where the design is going the correct way. If I had to use one of those two scraps on that right-hand side, the design would be going the wrong direction. So yes, well, okay, I guess I'm not using the darker paper. Just as well I had the lighter one. So this is what I should have done first time round. I should have cut it long ways instead of down the middle on the short side. So silly. So I'm going to, I think I decided 3.5 if I remember correctly. If I had done it at 4, I wasn't sure I would have enough. I could have stopped and measured it, but hey, you know, I'm on the fly type of scrapper and type of crafter. So if you followed me for any length of time, you'll know I don't measure things very often. All right, so now I'm just going to trim the edges off. And then this should fit across the top of my page. And I'll have to just add a little bit to the side because the A4 paper is not quite 12 inches. So I'll have a bit of a gap. And plus this, printing the design on the A4 paper, you've got your margins and things when you print. So it's never going to print a full A4 anyway. So I've got that white space that I need to account for. So just across the top. And then so I've just got that little gap on the right hand side. And like I said before, it doesn't worry me that there's a seam in the paper. There's ways you can cover things like that. And I think I've got enough flowers and embellishments that I can cover a seam anyway. So it's not going to worry me. And yeah, sometimes things move and it irritates me. And I didn't use my magnetic matte thing that I have either. I forgot to pull that out for this to hold everything in place. So I'm just putting on this paper, and the reason I moved the paper across and put that little piece on the left is because the pattern lined up a little bit better on that side than it did on the right. There was a really obvious break in the pattern on the right, so I moved it across to the left and it lined up much better. So these are the digital ribbons that come in the digital kits, and it's just really sweet. It's lovely paper, it really is. The only thing with having a digital kit like this is that if you don't like having to buy a lot of ink for your printer, then they're not for you. Yeah, I think in the long run, it works out cheaper than having to buy so many scrapbook items and stuff that you're not going to use. With digital, you only print out what you want to use, so there might be images in kits that you don't like and you don't have to print them out and you'll never use them. But when you buy a collection from a manufacturer and you buy the physical product, you can't not buy. Oops, technical difficulty. Okay, I stopped. My program stopped recording the voiceover because my screensaver came on. So I don't know. That was just really weird. So what was I saying? Okay, yeah. So with digital products, you have the ability to print as little or as much as you want. But if you buy a physical product from a manufacturer, then if you don't like something, you're stuck with it. So you can't pick and choose what embellishments you have in your ephemera pack. You have to take the whole lot. And if you don't like one, it's just going to sit there until you're sick of seeing it and then throw it out or give it away. So here I am just putting everything in place, working out where I want it to go. I've got lots of embellishments and I can always print more out if I want them, but I couldn't be bothered, so I just made do with what I had. And I think I might fast forward this because it's just placing things around, working out where I want to put them, or maybe not. Maybe if I chat enough, I won't need to fast forward. But you know what? I was merrily chatting away and hadn't realized that it had stopped recording my voiceover because my screensaver came up. And now I don't know what I've said before, what I said that it didn't record. So I don't want to repeat myself. That's a bit boring, isn't it? But let's just see. Yes, I'm just working out where I want to put things. And I don't know what I said before. So, you know, I'm covering up that gap or that join in the paper, trying to strategically place elements so that it is covered up. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. Oh dear. So have you used digital products? Are you a digital scrapper? Do you do all your pages digitally so that you never print anything out? Have you used a mix of digital and physical products on your layouts, like on your physical layouts? I love the digital elements, I think. It takes a bit longer because you have to go through the collection, find the images you want, print them out, and then cut them out. It's not as quick as scrapping as your collection. You can pick off a shelf and then just flip through the pages, look through the ephemera pack, stick on the stickers, that sort of thing. So it takes a little bit longer time. but it saves space. So like I said, I don't know if I've gone through this before because I can't remember what I said. But you don't have to find space for your digital stuff. You just need your hard drive. And yeah, it's fantastic if you have limited space. And they're cheap. Like the collections, to get a full collection from Nitwits, I think $25, I think, is the whole, like a brand new collection out. And it's got all the pattern papers, all the embellishments, the clusters, pre-made clusters, the alphabets as well, and that's cheap, you know, considering when you can print them out over and over and over and over again, whereas a physical product you can use once and that's it, you can't use it again. So I think they're fantastic value for money. The only thing is you may be concerned about the ink you use in your printer, but I think the cost saving on the amount of product you actually get will be better in the long run. So yeah, but that's just, you know, some people don't like the digital thing. They like going and buying the product. I've got a whole craft room full of product to tell you. I don't need to buy anything else. So that's why I think the digital stuff is appealing to me at the moment. All right, so I've got everything, I think, where I want it to be. And normally I'd take a photo of it at this stage, but my phone's recording the video, so that is not going to happen. So I'm just going to try and memorize where everything is, and then I will show you how I put it all together. Now, what I try to do is where I have all my elements and my clusters, I just pick them up all together and move them aside, and I will, the elements that are in the, like the top right corner of the page, I'll pick up and move to the top right of my desk, or within reach on my desk. And the things that are in the bottom left, I'll do the same. I'll move them over to the bottom left of my desk, etc. So that at least I know the elements that was in each area. Now, if I don't take a photo, then when I glue them all back on, obviously they're going to be glued in a slightly different position because my memory is not that great. So that at least if I separate them into where they live on the page, then I will have a much better chance of getting them back to what I thought they were. So this little paper was just a fraction too long, and I must have miscut my measurements when I was trimming the two pieces of paper, but that's okay. Just trim a little bit off. Now what I think I might do is fast forward this, because there's no great secret on how I glue everything down. I just stick everything on. So I'm going to fast forward this, and I'll be back when I've completed the page. Okay, so I'm back. This is the finished page. I did add some pearls. That's the only thing I added. I thought I just needed a little bit of bling on there. So I've just added some pearls. And I hope that you have enjoyed watching this video and that you will subscribe, and catch you later. Bye.